But before we do anything, let's say hello to this man. Track Talk is back as we kick things off following the busiest race day of the year. He is Eric Alwan, the voice of Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino. As we get started here with Track Talk today, welcome back. And boy, oh boy, what a race day living up to the hype.
Hi, Sir Cappy. I want to thank you and the wonderful media in El Paso they really came to our aid. And despite, the economic times that we're in, post-pandemic, and we had almost 16,000 people show up because of your help.
That's incredible.
It really was a motor. Television stations, radio stations, print. We even had the LA Times out, Cappy.
That is awesome. And
Not too shabby.
By the way, the Sunland Derby lived up to the hype this year, didn't it?
Did. And drama.
Yeah.
The way the race panned out, Steve, there was a speed duel of all time speed duels. They ran the first half mile in 45 and change. That's what quarter horses do for 870, a fraction of the mile and eighth distance. Slowed down Andy broke the heart of Straight Up G. Flat out. Straight Up G had the lead at the top of the backstretch, and then they started dueling, and Slow Down Andy, it took a while, but he broke his heart on the second turn, and come to find out that gray horse for Todd Fincher was live. Bye Bobby made a tremendous move and had the setup, for a closer, but he went wide. There's always some peculiarities about this horse that cost him. He only lost by a half length. He would have won. In my mind, I've seen 50 years worth of races, but he's a hard horse to ride. So there's no blame, but it was a terrific finish. The two horses were, they weren't close to each other, but they were even. One horse is in lane one, Slow Down Andy pretty much, after battling for the pace, and Bye Bye Bobby's in the middle of the track. And I thought Bye Bye Bobby may have had the lead a couple of times in the stretch, but in the end, it was just too much class from Slow Down Andy, too much Doug O'Neill. And Mario Gutierrez, he was quoted as saying, well, I didn't want to fight my horse because that can be a deterrence. So he let him go. And once he got rid of Straight Up G, he had to deal with another big run from Bye Bye Bobby. It was a terrific finish. I think the crowd was really excited. We saw so much on the day too. There were so many storylines. Here's a storyline for you. Slow Down Andy's full brother, Team Merchants, won the Bill Thomas earlier in the day by about 7 lengths. So Redham Racing from Anaheim, California, and Doug O'Neill, they got to be very, very happy. And like you intimated, this horse is not shabby at all. He deserves to be in the Kentucky Derby. I think he's 4th ranked right now.
Wow.
In the country for getting in the Derby. So he's in.
Now that's huge. That is absolutely huge. Look, a Straight Up G gave it everything it had, but that horse, you said it best. Slow Down Andy beat him in California, and maybe it was just deja vu all over again when the horse realized that wasn't able to fend off the class of Slow Down Andy.
They both collided. In the Derby, our Derby and the Oaks were Lasix-free events, meaning not allowed to use Lasix. I think Straight Up G liked being on Lasix for the first time when he won the Mind That Bird Derby. Slow Down Andy has never used Lasix, doesn't need it, has never bled. So he had a confirmed edge just in that regard, because Lasix is an anti-bleeding medicine. When horses run hard, they can bleed, minute amounts in their lungs. So there's been a push to get away from Lasix, at least for the Triple Crown races.
When we interviewed Todd Fincher last week on the show, he was so confident in Bye Bye Bobby. I even asked him, I said, who are you worried about? And his answer was nobody, because we know his feeling was that Bye Bye Bobby was good enough to win that race where nobody, whether it's Straight Up G, Slow Down Andy, or anybody else, concerned him. And his bigger concern was, would the horse run the kind of race he's capable of? Because Bye Bye Bobby really hasn't been able to achieve that type of race in the big stakes races to date?
Well, your announcer, yours truly, did say in the first stanza of the race, hey, Bye Bye Bobby was rating kindly. There was no, Romas Gidinos didn't have to fight with him at all. So he did that part A+. He was more patient. He waited for the right time to make the move. He let that speed go, and he didn't try to chase him prematurely. But the horse, I don't know if the horse made the error or whatever. I had the utmost respect and appreciation for Todd Fincher. He's our top trainer. He's the best. And he can prove it, because when he's gone to Churchill Downs, Del Mar, he wins races out there, Cappy. And, had Runaway Ghost not gotten hurt after winning our 2018 Sunland Derby, he would have been in the Derby and probably would have, split the field. But I think Bye Bye Bobby could have won that race on Sunday. He just drifted out, So if you're taking your exam, he's getting better grades, and he's behaving better. And apparently he doesn't need LASIX either, because he ran the best race of his life. They just came out with the Beyer figures, Steve. You know what they are?
What's that?
The Andy Beyer figures are what most of us in racing use as a quality figure. They're printed only in the racing form. You have to buy the racing form. Slow Down Andy got a robust figure, an 86. Pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
So Bye Bye Bobby probably got an 85, because he's only, half length behind. I don't think Bobby could get into the Derby. He doesn't have enough points, but he's got 20 points. There's just not enough time for him to get in. You might see him maybe, and I'm just, guessing, the Preakness, possibly.
That'd be cool.
But Slow Down Andy, he's a go.
Eric Alwan, the voice of Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino, joining us here on Track Talk as we kick things off on a Tuesday. How do you explain what Cleopatra's Charge did in the Sunland Oaks?
You asked very, very astute question, Steve. In the back of my mind, Steve, I thought Cleopatra's Charge had a shot, minute, back in the Island Fashion Stakes, which was our prep for the Oaks. You know why I liked her? Came from Remington, good track in Oklahoma. Gary Cross trained her. She's by Will Take Charge, out of a smart striped mare. Steve, that's blue chip all the way. And you know what she did in the Island Fashion? She did kind of threaten at the top of the stretch. She was building up momentum, but Miss Hard Knocks was already gone, and Cleopatra's Charge ran 5th, beaten maybe 5. So it was difficult for me to include her in any pick 4 or pick 5 tickets, because, there was such a separation. So she goes off at 80-1, right? Now the horse from California for Peter Urton with Victor Espinosa falls down, loses the rider right away from the gate. So right away, Cappy, the complexion of the Oaks was altered, because you lost a major league horse called Queen of Thorns, who was stakes placed at Santa Anita, that probably would have been second, chasing Manarelli, the one that collapsed or gave way, got so tired. So with her out of the race, as it turned out, Optionality, Asmussen's horse, ran a clunker, didn't do anything. I could see it all unfolding, and as I'm calling the race, I could see Manarelli, who had the lonely lead, really wasn't pressured, I didn't think, but she was going quickly. Her stride just collapsed in the final furlong. She was so far in front, I still assumed that, she could still hold on. I mean, she had a mammoth distance over everybody. And I watched the replay on Sunday night. I think Cleopatra's Charge was a furlong behind at the 3/8 marker. And you know how many yards that is? That's like 200 yards. That's like 2 football fields, Cappy. And somehow she found her best stride, and the rest was history. She made a mind that bird derby move. A mind that bird move. And I was happy for Gary Cross. Gary Cross is a man that's been associated with us here at Sunland for 30 years. Always has top level New Mexico breds. Heck, he nearly won the big one for older New Mexico breds with Jet and G, came in second in that race. But for Gary Cross to win a $300,000 race against open horses, defeating the likes of, Steve Asmussen, Peter Erden, makes his career.
Yep. You already mentioned Team Merchants and winning the 31st Bill Thomas Memorial Stakes, and another Doug O'Neill horse. I mean, a big day for Doug O'Neill, right? Just a big day for him.
His third Sunland Derby win.
Wow.
3-time winner. That I'll have to check. I don't know if anybody, maybe Baffert's won it 3 times. I'll have to look, but he's right up there at the top. In the 17 runnings, he's won 3.
Tell me about what happened at the New Mexico Breeders' Derby and also the Oaks, because those were big stories in terms of Belladonna winning the Oaks, and then also in the Derby, Todd Fincher's horse Diabolical Storm.
Let's talk about the New Mexico Breeders' Oaks, because Belladonna has been perfection. Most New Mexico breds, Steve, they were so conscious about speed and being able to win at the age of 2, when they're babies, that they typically don't pan out well when they have to run long distances. Belladonna just breaks that fundamental principle in half, because she's a muscular sprinter type looking horse, but she gets along so well with Luis Fuentes that he gives her the instructions. She relaxes appropriately, kind of near the lead, and they can't catch her. She toyed with that group. Corinna, who, by the way, was trained by Gary Cross, shows you the good stable Gary Cross has, made a move, but it was too late. Belladonna was gone. She won her 8th career win in that race. She's well past $500,000 in earnings. She's 3 for 3 this season. We don't do it anymore because the Sunland Derby winner is always the horse of the meet. But if you could discount that, Belladonna's your horse of the meet. She's won 3 stakes races at a number of distances. And she's going to be one heck of an expensive broodmare when they breed her. She's owned by her breeders. So they've owned the mama of Belladonna, and they own Belladonna. They'll be able to have the offspring of Belladonna, who's just awesome. You know who the best sire of the day was?
Who's that?
First sire, Attila Storm. I think he threw 3-4 stakes winners, in those breed races, which brings us to Diabolical Storm, just by Attila Storm. A very unfortunate thing happened to Alfredo Juarez. In the first race, he gets kind of dinged up when a horse kind of, leans back and Alfredo was thrown to the ground. He lost all of his mounts that day, had to go to the hospital. I think he's okay, but he lost the mount on Diabolical Storm. Edwin Maldonado, a Southern California rider, took over and was able to get him to relax enough, stay about a length off the pace, and he won a driving finish for Todd Fincher over a Todd Fincher horse called Massive Roar, over another Todd Fincher horse called Lonzo Who. It was an all Todd Fincher trifecta, but a big day for Diabolical Storm.
We're chatting with Eric Alwan, the voice of Sunland Park Racetrack and Casino here on Track Talk. All right, other races I want to get to. Let's talk about Sharapova from California winning the $100,000 Harry Henson handicap. That was a big one. And then my favorite horse name, Cheese Tray. Cheese Tray. I love that. Winning the $120,000 New Mexico State University handicap. So many great stakes races being held this past Sunday.
Cheese Tray is probably named for Felix the cat when he wants to have his cheese. Good horse, too. And that was the second horse that Todd Fincher won with on that day. And that was, a super race. It was a $100,000 race. I thought you were going to tell me that I was going to get to meet Maria Sharapova. Darn it. I was going to have some of her candy, Sharapova candy. But I'll tell you something. The 4-legged creature, Sharapova, gorgeous as well in a different way, but class was just exuded. I mean, I liked Our Irish Rose because of Todd Fincher, and I know the background, and Our Irish Rose was related to Runaway Ghost and all the others of that family. They both go off at 6-5, Steve, and they locked horns. And Sharapova said, "You're not going to beat me." No. And Our Irish Rose faded in fourth. Sharapova is trained by Peter Urton, a renowned trainer in Southern California. His lovely, lovely daughter, Brittany, she works for NBC, TVG, always has the greatest outfits, an astute racing expert, and very beautiful. So too bad we didn't get to see Brittany or Maria, but Sharapova, she's going on to bigger and better things too.
Oh man, so good with you. I love it. This has been it's been a great Track Talk, just recapping Sunday. And by the way, this is the final week of live racing.
Are you kidding?
This is it.
Too soon. I'm just finding my stride.
You are.
True.
So tell me what to expect later this week.
3 huge races. Saturday, the Sunland Park Handicap, which is the definitive race for older horses that like to go a distance of ground. I'll be all over My Net Star. He's going for what I call a three-peat because he won the Winchell Lad, the Caribou, and he looked fantastic in all of those races. He's the half-brother to Mind That Bird that Judge Lanier Racing owns, Tom and Sandy McKenna. Oh, by the way, Tom and Sandy McKenna, they came in second in that Sunland Park Oaks with a 50-1 long shot called Alley Alley. So I'm sure they were thrilled about that. But their more accomplished runner is Mind That Star, and he's going to face a pretty full field on Saturday. I think I have the program right about here. I think there's 9 of them. We'll even have some ship-ins for the race because it's worth a lot of money. It's the $100,000 61st running of the Sunland Park Handicap. Convention, the horse that ran second to Mind That Star, will be in it. So will Zestful, the horse that's been chasing Mind That Star all season long. Then we'll have an Arizona invader called McIntyre. Sheriff Brown's in the race too. I got to meet him up close when we went to the barn. Very friendly horse. Loved our director of marketing, Jackie Marks, as a matter of fact. And former champion here at Sunland, Justin Evans, is bringing in one called Limonite. So there's 9 in that race. And Cappy, guess what happened when we started that big purse increase?
What's that?
Full fields and 12 races a day. Funny how money does that, huh?
Very fun.
It does.
I love it.
I mean, what do we start at? 9 races a day for most of this? Well, about 2/3 of the season. Then we inject all that money into the program, and the entry box has been fast and furious ever since. And we just drew for the final day back on Sunday, because Sunday, April 3rd is the last day. 2 huge quarter horse stakes that day for the babies. The West Texas Futurity is going to be set, worth over a couple $100,000. I like Worth the Wait for Fred Danley. And the other big races, the New Mexican Spring Futurity for New Mexico bred horses that are just 2. I like a horse called Jesse's Wish in that one. That race is worth even more, $320,000. So there'll be 12 races, I think, on Saturday and Sunday, and kind of bittersweet about it because that will end the season. Kind of condensed this year. We're only going to run 55 days, but I think the fans were happy. They certainly loved what happened on Sunland Derby Day. 16,905 fans came out. Locally, they bet almost 350,000. Across the world, bet 3.2 million. Didn't break our record, but it's certainly in the annals, one of the top 5 handles of all time in New Mexico history.
That's awesome. Eric, we'll wrap things up on the season next week and kind of do a year in review. But in the meantime, terrific stuff as always. And thanks for delivering like you always do here on Track Talk.
Thank you for pushing racing. Appreciate it, Steve.